All right, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Glad you're here. It's March 24th. God, this month is flying. We will organize our thoughts and do quality work, right? Do it on purpose. For those of us that normally just kind of whatever. Yes, we're going to suffer and do what's right no matter how we feel because we're good people. I will do the work now. I will answer questions piece by piece and learning to think about these questions that way, step by step. Let me do all the parts I need to do my best work possible because I am strong, confident, and successful. And that attitude makes a difference. And then for our close, well, why is it important to be positive on purpose? What do y'all think? How does it make a difference? Or even better, well, how has being positive on purpose helped you? And I've had several students email me, Mr. Carvajal, I wasn't feeling good, but I suffered and did the work anyway. Or I suffered in this other class and did better than I ever have before. So if you have a story of how being positive on purpose helped you, hey, please share it with the class. I think somebody here needs to hear what you have to say. They're tired of me saying it all the time. So you tell us how being positive on purpose has helped you. And before we do anything else, let's do our positive affirmations so we can tell ourselves what to think and what to believe. So say it loud and say it strong. What are you? I am strong, confident, and successful. Yes, we are. And how do you feel about getting work done? I love getting work done. Man, it feels good, doesn't it? And how do you feel about schoolwork? The harder I work, the stronger I become. So true, so true. All right, so if you go into Schoology and week 1 of the new 9 weeks, remember the folder is yellow, except when there's a test, right? So it's testing for there. If you notice, I also moved over the rough draft essay, literary analysis. Those of us that haven't turned it in, keep in mind, hey, get it done. Turn in your rough draft. If you have a 0 on it, you know you haven't turned it in. Turn it in. I read it, give you revision ideas. You revise it, turn it back in again, and then I'll put in your major grade. I'll probably be putting in the major grades for those that haven't turned it in, so you'll be having a big 0 for a test grade. So take care of it as soon as you can, and do well because you're good writers. I know you are. So you can just click on it to get to it there. I've seen several people uploading what I don't know to the major grade. There's nothing to upload. All I do is read over your rough draft, and then I put in your final grade in the major grade column. So there is nothing to upload to the major grade for the analysis essay. Don't bother doing that. All right, and let's get to today's work. Here is the discussion question. Why is it important to be positive on purpose? Or how has being positive on purpose helped you? I'm hoping for some of the latter. I want to hear how it's helped you. And I found this, that's what made me think of this. I was scrolling social media this morning, and this little cool meme came up. And I don't know if you can see it, those of us in the classroom. It doesn't want to get bigger. Sometimes the strength within you is not a big fiery flame for all to see. It's just a tiny spark that whispers ever so softly, you got this, keep going. And I love this little image of the baby turtle. You know, they come out of their eggs and they flop their way to the sea, and then there's crabs and big fish, and they keep struggling till they get there. And sometimes I feel like this. Sometimes, like today, I feel like, damn, get out of my way. I'm in a good mood. I got work to do. Wherever you're at is fine, right? But the thing is to keep going. So just remember that. Okay, so for today, Wednesday's work, I really wanted to talk about answering step by step, especially for question 3 and question 5, right? Those are the ones that have more than one part for their answer. It's a big deal. And answering them right means hitting all the parts of the question. So I wanted to work through it myself so I could give you an idea of how to do it. So remember, answer a piece at a time, just like writing your essay, right? First write your thesis, then pick your body paragraph, and so forth. It's the same thing for these short answers. So you answer part 1 of the question, explain and give details. Answer part 2, explain and give details. If there's a 3 or a 4 or a 5, like question 5, explain and give details. Be sure you add that quote in there someplace if requested, and explain and give the context of the quote. What's going on with the quote? Why is the character acting the way they do in that quote? Or why do they say what they say? Be sure and tell us that so the reader knows. You can click on this. This is my example of working through them. And you can open it up big if you want to, or just read it in there. It doesn't matter later on. But for now, let's look at my version. And this is going to take work, right? These questions 3 and 5 are big, and they're good for us to think them through because it's all about riddle skills, right? What do you think? So I switched it from dry to through the tunnel because most of us read that and understand, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm answering for through the tunnel. So question 3, fictional characters usually face moral dilemmas that drive the plot of the novel. What dilemma did Jerry face in Through the Tunnel? In your question, it says Kelton and dry, right? What dilemma did Jerry face in Through the Tunnel? How did he respond to that dilemma? And what did that tell you about his motivation or priority? So there's really 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. I made these both the same color because they're related very closely. But there's 3 parts to this answer. So remember to use the key words and do it a piece at a time. So if you look at my answer, the dilemma Jerry faced in Through the Tunnel was whether to prove that he is big and strong enough to make it through the tunnel or to give up and accept that he is too young and weak. So that's the dilemma. Check. I answered part 1. Now look at part 2. How did he respond to dilemma? Jerry responded to dilemma by not backing down and attempting to go through the tunnel regardless of the consequences. And that's where I use the quote for, right? He'd do it if it killed him. If he didn't go now, he never would. Then look at all the time that I spent explaining and giving details of the story. This is the bulk of my answer, right? What happened in the story? You have to assume the reader doesn't know what you know, hasn't read what you read. So you have to give them that background information so they understand. So I explained the basic facts of it, right? And then, last part of the question, go back and check again. What did this tell you about his motivation or priorities? In the end, this tells us motivation was to redeem himself in his own eyes. Is that the right answer? No. It is a good answer. I used my riddle skills and I came up with that. And no one else's opinion mattered because once he was able to swim through the tunnel, he did not seek out the big boys to show them what he can do, right? Rather, having accomplished his goal, he went back to the hotel and he was content to not go back to the beach. Jerry proved to himself he was big enough and strong enough, and what others thought no longer mattered. So this answer, this is a big answer. Let's see how many words this was. That's almost 300 words right there. And this is a good answer. I mean, I'm an English teacher for a reason. So the limit for this one, I did increase it. It was 300. I made it 400 in case people use a bigger quote. So you can do that if you want to write longer. 4 is pretty straightforward. 5, this is the big question. Look how many parts there is to this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different parts. Find a moment from Through the Tunnel. For y'all, it'll be dry, right? Find a moment you read that relates to what you think the theme of Through the Tunnel is. Okay, so that's the first part. Find the moment. Explain the connection you see between the theme and this moment. That's part 2. Why was this scene important to your novel? Part 3. And how does it explore the concept of survival or will to live? So you'll be looking at dry, right? Not Through the Tunnel, but piece at a time. Okay, let me answer the first question. A moment in Through the Tunnel that shows the theme of people's persistence and don't give up is when Jerry finally truly decides he's going to try no matter what. I explain and give lots of details. Part 2, explain the connection between the theme and this moment. The connection between the theme and this moment, keywords, is that even though Jerry was very afraid, he didn't quit. He shows just how persistent people are, and when their pride is involved, they often do what they want, even if they know it's not a smart decision. Why was this scene important to your novel? This is important to the story because it really is the climax in a way. Jerry is truly committed and is willing to risk his life to show himself that he is a stronger man than he appeared to be when he embarrassed himself in front of the older boys. And then finally, how does this explore the concept of survival or will to live? This explores the concept of survival because Jerry is definitely a survivor. He didn't give up, even though by the end he felt his lungs were out of air and he was ready to die. He didn't die. Survival, will to live. He kept going and proved to himself that he was big enough and strong enough. That kind of belief will serve him well as he grows to adulthood. So this one I think is almost 400 words. Tools word count. Yeah, 375, almost 400 words for me to do this answer. And you know what? It was fun. It was fun using my riddle skills. It was fun writing this out. It was fun figuring it out and then going back and making sure I answered all the parts of the question. And if you let yourself have fun riddling it out, these are good answers. They're not the right answers, right? If you have a different opinion about dry than you think everybody else does, that doesn't mean it's wrong. It means you thought of something cool that maybe nobody else did. So trust yourself, go through the process, take the steps you need to take, do it a piece at a time, and get a damn good grade on this test because you are strong, confident, and successful. All right, so we're going to work on